Got the second problem here. You see here now we have Mg magnesium, O for oxygen, MgO for magnesium oxide. So first thing, write everything down. Remember, always leave a little space in front of them, so in case you need to add a coefficient. All right, so you write that down, leaving a little bit of space for the coefficient. And the next thing is you got to account for atoms on both sides of the arrow, the reactant side and the product side. So Mg and O, right? And whatever you do on the left side, make sure you do them in the same order on the right side of the arrow. Mg and O. So remember, if there is no coefficient or subscript, then you just say it's 1 times 1 because there's a 1 coefficient, a 1 subscript. 1 times 1 is 1. Right here, again, if there's no coefficient, you just assume it's a 1. 1 times 2, you just put a 2 right here. So magnesium here, right? Magnesium has no coefficient. It has no subscripts. You just assume it's 1 times 1, which gives you 1. Same thing with the oxygen. No coefficient, no subscript, so it's just 1. All right, so you see here, we have 1 and 1, 2 and 1. So we see that the top ones are balanced, but the bottom oxygen is not. So what we got to do right here is make sure that we raise this one up to a higher number, like the 2. Don't lower this, but raise this one. So what can we put in the coefficient right here for this oxygen to make it a 2 like this? So remember, the oxygen, if there's no 1 there, you just assume there's a 1. And then you have to ask yourself, what times 1 gives you 2? And so here what you can put is a 2, because 2 times 1 gives you 2, right? 2 times 1. So for the oxygen, you scratch this out and you write a 2. And so you see here the oxygens are now balanced, 2 and 2. But what happened to this magnesium? Because you put a coefficient of 2 in front of it. And remember, if there's no 1 there, you just assume it's a little 1 there. So 2 times 1, actually it changes. It's a 2. And now the magnesiums are no longer balanced, right? You have a 2 on the right side on the product and a 1 on the reactant side. So what you got to do, though, is now you got to make this magnesium, you got to put a coefficient here to make this 2 also. So remember, if there's no subscript, you can just put 1 there if it helps you. And so here, what times 1 will give you 2? And so 2 times 1, right, gives you 2 for that magnesium. So scratch that out, and then you put a 2. Remember, don't erase them, scratch them out so you know it was there at one point, right? So now you see that the magnesium, 2 on the reactant, 2 on the product. So 2 and 2, check. Oxygen, 2 and 2, check. So this problem right here is now balanced, right? You just had to add a coefficient here, and now this makes it balanced. And remember, this is all because nothing goes away in a reaction. It just gets rearranged, right? It doesn't disappear, and it isn't destroyed or it isn't created. It's just rearranged. So whatever you start off with, you have to end, right? 2 and 2, 2 and 2.